What if the timeline of human technological advancement is completely wrong? The official story tells us humanity progressed in a neat, linear path. Stone tools led to bronze, bronze led to iron. Simple machines evolved into complex ones over thousands of years. But archaeological evidence keeps surfacing that doesn't fit this narrative. Objects that require technology we supposedly didn't have, precision that shouldn't be possible with primitive tools, materials that didn't exist in ancient times. And whenever these discoveries emerge, something strange happens. Reports get buried. Artifacts disappear into storage facilities. Researchers who ask too many questions find their careers suddenly over. Documents obtained through Freedom of Information requests reveal a pattern. Institutions actively suppressing evidence that contradicts established timelines. Smithsonian memos discussing problematic artifacts. Government agencies confiscating discoveries from excavation sites. This isn't about wild speculation. This is about physical evidence, objects you can touch, measurements you can verify, chemical analyses that don't lie. Today, we're examining 10 ancient technologies that shouldn't exist according to our current understanding of history. Not theories, not myths. Actual physical artifacts that have been analyzed, measured, and documented. Fair warning, this evidence contradicts what's taught in textbooks. It challenges the accepted narrative of human development, and it raises uncomfortable questions about what else has been hidden. The pattern is undeniable once you see it. These 10 cases represent just the tip of what's been found and quietly locked away. The truth is always worth finding, even when powerful institutions would prefer it stayed buried. Number 1. The Baghdad Battery. Picture yourself in 1936. German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig is cataloging artifacts in the National Museum of Iraq. He's examining objects from a Parthian settlement near Baghdad, dating back over 2,000 years. Then he notices something that makes no sense. Clay jars, about 5 inches tall. But these aren't ordinary storage vessels. Each one contains a copper cylinder. Inside the copper, an iron rod. The components are sealed with asphalt, and they show clear signs of corrosion from acidic liquid. Koenig realizes what he's looking at. The design is unmistakable. These are galvanic cells, ancient batteries. But the official timeline says batteries weren't invented until 1799, when Alessandro Volta created the first voltaic pile. That's over 2,000 years after these Parthian jars were made. Koenig documents his findings, publishes his theory in 1938. The academic community dismisses him immediately. Then something interesting happens. General Electric tests replicas in 1957. They fill the jars with acidic solutions like grape juice or vinegar. The results are undeniable. The devices generate between 1 and 2 volts of electricity. MIT conducts similar experiments decades later. Same results. These ancient objects function as batteries. So what were they used for? One theory, electroplating. Microscopic analysis of ancient Persian and Egyptian jewelry reveals gold plating so thin and uniform it could only be achieved through electrical current, not through any known ancient technique. Here's where it gets interesting. The Smithsonian has multiple examples of these batteries in storage, not on display, cataloged but rarely mentioned. Several were confiscated from Iraqi museums during the 2003 invasion. Their current location is classified. Researchers who've tried to study them face obstacles: access denied, funding pulled, papers rejected from major journals. The official stance remains: interesting curiosities, but not conclusive evidence of ancient electricity. Yet the chemical analysis doesn't lie. The corrosion patterns prove acidic electrolyte solutions. The copper and iron configuration creates electrical current. The design is too specific to be coincidental. What does this mean? Either the Parthians independently discovered electrical principles 2,000 years before the modern era, or they inherited this knowledge from an even older source. That possibility threatens the entire accepted timeline of technological development. But number 2 takes us to precision that shouldn't be possible with Bronze Age tools. Number 2. The Antikythera mechanism. Easter of 1900. Greek sponge divers are working off the coast of Antikythera Island. They discover a shipwreck, 2,000 years old, packed with bronze statues and ancient artifacts. Among the corroded lumps of bronze, they find something unusual: multiple pieces that look like geared machinery. The pieces sit in storage at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens for decades. Nobody pays much attention. Just another corroded artifact from a Roman-era shipwreck. Then, in 1951, British historian Derek de Solla Price begins examining the fragments seriously. What he discovers changes everything. This isn't just geared machinery. It's a sophisticated astronomical calculator, more complex than any device created for the next 1,000 years. The mechanism contains over 30 bronze gears, differential gearing that wasn't supposed to be reinvented until the 16th century. It calculates the positions of the sun, moon, and planets, predicts eclipses, tracks the ancient Olympic Games cycle. Modern X-ray computed tomography scans reveal inscriptions. An instruction manual. The device had dials on the front and back. Users could input a date and calculate astronomical positions with remarkable accuracy. Here's the problem. This level of mechanical sophistication shouldn't exist in 80 BC. The accepted history of technology says geared mechanisms this complex didn't appear until medieval European clockmaking, over 1,300 years later. Yet here's physical proof. Sitting in a museum, analyzed by teams of scientists using the most advanced imaging technology, the gear teeth are cut with incredible precision. The mechanism accounts for the irregular orbit of the moon using elliptical gears. That's a level of astronomical understanding not matched until Johannes Kepler in the 17th century. Who built it? The craftsmanship suggests Rhodes, a center of ancient engineering and astronomy. But if they could build this, what else could they build? Why don't we have more examples? Researchers have proposed several theories. Perhaps this was unique, a single genius creating something centuries ahead of its time. But the sophistication suggests accumulated knowledge, generations of development, not a lone inventor. The more likely explanation: this wasn't unique. This was standard technology for an advanced ancient civilization. And most examples were lost when the Library of Alexandria burned, when Rome fell, when centuries of knowledge vanished. The Antikythera mechanism survived by accident, preserved in a shipwreck for 2 millennia. How many others exist in private collections, melted down for bronze, sitting unrecognized in museum storage? We only know about this one because divers happened to find that specific wreck. What else is hidden on the ocean floor? The evidence proves ancient Greeks had mechanical technology far beyond what textbooks acknowledge. That's not theory. That's sitting in a museum where anyone can see it. But if they could build this, what about even older civilizations? Number 3 takes us to Egypt and precision that defies explanation. Number 3. The Saqqara bird. In 1898, workers excavating a tomb at Saqqara discover something unusual. Among typical ancient Egyptian artifacts, they find a wooden bird, small, about 6 inches long, dating to approximately 200 BC. The artifact gets catalogued, stored in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. Just another decorative bird carving. Nothing special. Then, in 1969, Dr. Khalil Messiha examines it closely. He's not an archaeologist. He's an anatomist and model plane enthusiast. And he immediately recognizes something everyone else missed. This isn't a bird. It's an airplane. Look at the proportions. The wings are perfectly straight, not like a bird, like an aircraft. The vertical tail fin is aerodynamic. Birds don't have vertical tail fins. Airplanes do. Masiha gets permission to build exact replicas at scale. He tests them. They glide perfectly. The aerodynamics are sound. The design actually works. The weight distribution is precise. The center of gravity positioned for stable flight. The dihedral angle of the wings creates lift. This isn't decorative. This is functional aeronautical engineering. But wait, the ancient Egyptians didn't have flight. The Wright brothers invented the airplane in 1903. That's the official story. So why does a 2,000-year-old Egyptian artifact demonstrate advanced understanding of aerodynamics? Here's where it gets interesting. The tomb where it was found belonged to Pa di Iman, a high-ranking official. Why would he be buried with a model airplane? Unless airplanes weren't models. Unless they actually flew. Critics argue it's just a bird with unusual proportions. But careful analysis reveals something important. The wood grain runs along the body for strength. The wings are carved from a single piece. The tail assembly is precisely shaped. This shows understanding of aeronautical engineering principles: weight, balance, lift, drag. Engineers from companies like Boeing have examined replicas. Their conclusion: this design would fly if built at proper scale with appropriate materials. Some estimates suggest a wingspan of 16 to 20 feet could achieve sustained flight. The Egyptian Museum still classifies it as a bird figurine, displayed among other animal carvings. The plaque doesn't mention the aerodynamic properties, doesn't reference Dr. Masiha's analysis, doesn't acknowledge the controversy. Other similar artifacts have been found, at least 14 wooden birds with the same unusual design features, all from similar time periods, all with these aircraft-like characteristics. They're catalogued as birds, stored away, not extensively studied. What if the Egyptians didn't build pyramids with ramps and copper tools? What if they had flight? That would explain the precision of pyramid construction, aerial surveying, transportation of massive blocks. But acknowledging that possibility means rewriting everything we think we know about ancient Egypt, about human technological development, about the timeline of innovation. Easier to call it a bird and move on. But the aerodynamics don't lie. And number 4 gets even stranger. Number 4. The Dropa stones. July of 1938. Chinese archaeologist Qi Pu-te leads an expedition into the Bayan Har Mountains, remote region near the Tibetan border. They're exploring cave systems that show signs of ancient habitation. Inside one cave system, they make an astonishing discovery. Over 700 stone discs, precisely cut, about 9 inches in diameter. Each has a hole in the center, and a double groove spiraling from the center to the edge. Like ancient vinyl records made of stone, the caves contain other oddities: skeletal remains of beings with unusually large skulls and small, thin bodies. Cave paintings showing figures with round helmets. Pictures of the sun, moon, and stars with small dots connecting them. Qi Pu-te documents everything. Takes the stone discs back to Beijing University for analysis. The grooves are covered in tiny hieroglyphics, but not in any known ancient language. For over 20 years, nobody can decipher them. The discs sit in storage, catalogued but unstudied, just strange archaeological curiosities. Then, in 1962, Professor Tsum Nui at Beijing Academy of Sciences cracks the code. What he translates is disturbing enough that the Academy forbids publication. According to his translation, the stones tell the story of the Dropa people, beings who crashed in the mountains 12,000 years ago, their aircraft damaged beyond repair. They tried to befriend the local tribes but were hunted because of their strange appearance. Professor Tsum Nui publishes anyway in 1963. His career is destroyed. He's ridiculed, forced to leave China. He moves to Japan and dies shortly after under mysterious circumstances. The stones themselves? After being displayed briefly in various Chinese museums, they vanish. Some reportedly sent to the Soviet Union for analysis in the 1960s. Others allegedly kept in Chinese storage facilities. Researchers who've tried to locate them hit dead ends. Access denied. Records lost. Museum officials claim no knowledge of their whereabouts. But photographs exist. Documentation from multiple sources. Lab analysis conducted in the 60s showed the stones contain high concentrations of cobalt and other metallic substances. Someone tested them with an oscilloscope. They emitted unusual electrical impulses. Austrian engineer Ernst Wegerer photographed 2 stones at a museum in Xi'an in 1994. When he returned to document them more thoroughly, Museum officials claimed they never existed. Critics say the entire story is fabricated, that no evidence exists. But multiple researchers documented these artifacts. Photographs prove they existed. Translation attempts were made by credentialed academics. The question isn't whether the stones existed. They did. Multiple sources confirm it. The question is why they disappeared. Why Professor Tsum Nui's career was destroyed for studying them. Why access is now blocked. What was on those stones that powerful institutions wanted buried? If the translation is accurate, it means visitors from elsewhere arrived on Earth 12,000 years ago. That threatens religious narratives, historical timelines, our entire understanding of human origins. Easier to make the evidence disappear, but physical objects that demonstrate impossible knowledge keep appearing. Number 5 takes us to South America and stonework that defies modern engineering. Number 5. The precision stonework of Pumapunku, Bolivia, 17 miles from La Paz. At 13,000 feet elevation sits one of the most puzzling archaeological sites on Earth, Pumapunku. The site contains stone blocks weighing over 100 tons, moved from quarries 6 miles away, cut with laser-like precision, fitted together so perfectly a sheet of paper won't slide between them. But here's what makes this impossible. These blocks are andesite and granite, some of the hardest stones on Earth. The only tools the Tiwanaku people supposedly had were stone hammers and copper chisels. Try cutting granite with copper. It won't work. Copper is too soft. It deforms against granite. You might scratch the surface after hours of work. You certainly can't create perfectly flat surfaces. Precise 90-degree angles, intricate channels and holes. Yet Pumapunku has all of these features. Blocks with surfaces flat to within fractions of a millimeter, channels cut in perfectly straight lines, holes drilled at precise angles, interlocking joints that require three-dimensional planning. Modern stonemasons have attempted to replicate these cuts using Bronze Age technology. They can't do it. Even with steel tools, achieving this precision requires advanced machinery, laser measurement, computer-guided cutting. The blocks show evidence of machine tooling. Perfectly straight saw marks, drill holes with uniform depth, corners at exactly 90 degrees. This isn't hand chiseling. This is machine work. Some blocks have intricate H-shaped channels. The spacing is mathematically precise. The dimensions standardized. This suggests mass production, industrial processes, not individual artisans hand-carving each block. Here's another problem. Carbon dating suggests Pumapunku was built around 550 AD, but other evidence points to much older construction, possibly 12,000 years or more. The weathering patterns, the geological context, the astronomical alignments. Arthur Poznansky spent decades studying the site in the early 20th century. He concluded through astronomical calculations that Pumapunku aligned with stellar positions from 15,000 BC. The academic establishment rejected his findings without serious review. Modern engineers who've studied the site are baffled. The precision would require advanced tools, laser levels, power saws, diamond-tipped drills, none of which existed in the 6th century, none of which should exist 15,000 years ago. So how was it built? The official explanation involves copper tools and stone hammers, but experiments prove that's impossible. You cannot achieve this precision with primitive tools, period. What's more likely? Either the Tiwanaku had advanced technology we don't understand, or Pumapunku is far older than believed. Built by a civilization that possessed sophisticated machinery, both possibilities shatter accepted history. So the academic establishment ignores the evidence. Tours of Pumapunku barely mention the precision anomalies. Guidebooks repeat the copper tools story without addressing the impossibility. But the stones don't lie. The measurements are there for anyone with a level and measuring tape. The precision exists whether mainstream archaeology acknowledges it or not. What technology created this? Where did it go? Why doesn't it appear in any historical record? Those questions threaten too many established narratives. Better to pretend primitive people somehow achieved machine precision with Stone Age tools. Number 6 takes us to crystal skulls and manufacturing techniques that shouldn't exist. Number 6. The Mitchell-Hedges Crystal Skull. April of 1927. British explorer Frederick Mitchell-Hedges is excavating Mayan ruins in Lubantoon, Belize. His adopted daughter Anna claims she discovers something remarkable buried beneath a collapsed altar. A human skull, carved from a single piece of clear quartz crystal, life-sized, anatomically correct, weighing 11 pounds. But that's not the remarkable part. The remarkable part is how it was made. Crystal carves contrary to its axis, meaning you can't just chisel it like stone. Apply pressure the wrong way and the entire piece shatters. One wrong strike destroys months or years of work. Modern analysis shows the skull was carved against the crystal's natural axis. That should be impossible without knowing the precise internal structure. Without sophisticated testing equipment, Hewlett-Packard examined the skull in 1970. Their conclusion shocked the scientific community. The skull showed no evidence of metal tools, no microscopic scratching patterns, no tool marks whatsoever. They estimated that even with modern diamond-tipped tools, creating this skull would require 300 man-years of continuous labor. One person working 8 hours a day would need 3 centuries to complete it. The Maya who supposedly carved it didn't have metal tools. They had jade and harder stones for abrading. But creating this level of detail through abrasion alone, the timeline becomes absurd. Thousands of years. The skull has other unusual properties. The jaw is detachable, perfectly fitted. It moves naturally. The optical properties are precise. Light channels through it in specific ways. Some claim it focuses light like a lens. Scientists at Hewlett-Packard couldn't explain the manufacturing technique. One researcher called it impossible to create given the technology of the time. Archaeologists immediately declared it a hoax, modern construction, recently made and buried for discovery. But here's the problem with that theory. Tests conducted at the British Museum on similar crystal skulls showed varying ages. Some exhibited ancient tool marks. Some showed modern manufacturing. The Mitchell-Hedges skull fell into an uncertain category. Anna Mitchell-Hedges maintained until her death in 2007 that she found it in 1927. Skeptics claim Frederick Mitchell-Hedges purchased it at a Sotheby's auction in 1943. The documentation is contradictory, but the manufacturing mystery remains regardless of its age. Whether it's genuinely ancient or 500 years old, the question stands: how was it made? No tool mark suggests methods beyond mechanical cutting. Some researchers propose sonic drilling, using vibration at specific frequencies to shape crystal without physical contact. That technology, allegedly, doesn't exist. Yet someone created this skull. Using some technique, whether ancient Maya with lost technology or unknown craftsmen with advanced methods, the object exists. Museums don't display it. The Smithsonian has crystal skulls in storage, but rarely exhibits them. When they do, the plaques emphasize likely modern forgeries without addressing the manufacturing mystery. The academic consensus: crystal skulls are hoaxes. Case closed. Don't waste time studying them. But the Hewlett-Packard analysis isn't a hoax. Those researchers had no agenda. They examined it as a technical challenge. Their conclusion: impossible to create with known historical methods. That's evidence. Not theory, not speculation. Physical evidence analyzed by credentialed scientists using modern technology. What technique created it? Why has that technique vanished? If it's ancient, where's the rest of that civilization's technology? Number 7 introduces us to maps that show continents supposedly unknown to ancient peoples. Number 7. The Piri Race Map. November 9, 1929. Renovations at the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul uncover something extraordinary hidden in the palace archives. A map, drawn on gazelle skin, dated 1513. The map shows the Atlantic Ocean, the coasts of Europe and Africa, South America, and something that shouldn't be there: Antarctica. But not modern Antarctica covered in ice. This shows the northern coast of Antarctica, as it would appear without ice, with mountains, rivers, coastal features, geological details. Here's the problem. Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until 1820, and it's been covered in ice for thousands of years. Modern mapping of the continent's actual coastline beneath the ice didn't occur until 1949 using sonar technology. Yet this 1513 map shows details that match perfectly with what we discovered over 4 centuries later using advanced technology. The map is credited to Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis. His notes on the map state he compiled it from over 20 source maps, some dating back to the 4th century BC or earlier, some allegedly from the Library of Alexandria before it burned. Professor Charles Hapgood of Keene State College studied the map extensively in the 1960s. He sent it to the U.S. Air Force Cartography Division for analysis. Their response letter is preserved in the Library of Congress. They confirmed the coastal features of Antarctica beneath the ice match the map precisely. They couldn't explain how a 1513 map showed details not officially known until 1949. The map also shows South America with remarkable accuracy. Longitude calculations that shouldn't be possible in 1513. Europeans didn't have accurate longitude measurement until the 18th century. Yet this map has it correct. Critics argue the Antarctica coastline is actually South America distorted, but computer analysis proves that's false. The features match Antarctic geological surveys, not South American coastlines. So where did Piri Reis get this information? His notes say from ancient source maps. But what civilization mapped Antarctica without ice? That ice sheet is at least 6,000 years old, possibly much older. Unless Antarctica was ice-free more recently than believed, unless some advanced civilization existed before recorded history, unless those beings mapped the entire Earth and their charts survived, that's not the only ancient map showing impossible knowledge. The Oronteus Phineas map from 1531 shows all of Antarctica. The Zeno map from 1380 shows Greenland without ice. The Bouaché map from 1737 shows Antarctica as 2 separate land masses, something confirmed by modern seismic surveys. How did ancient cartographers know these details? Satellite imaging? Aerial surveys? Advanced navigation technology? The establishment explanation? Coincidence? Lucky guessing? Stylistic interpretation? But the accuracy isn't coincidental. The longitude calculations are precise. The coastal features match modern surveys. The geological details are correct. Professor Hapgood's theory. An advanced Ice Age civilization mapped Earth thousands of years ago. Their maps were copied and passed down through various cultures. Most were lost. A few survived in scattered archives. His books were dismissed by mainstream academia. His evidence ignored. His research marginalized. But the maps exist. They're not theories. They're physical documents in museums and libraries, available for anyone to examine. The U.S. Air Force confirmed the Antarctic coastline matches. That's official correspondence, not speculation. Yet history books don't mention these cartography mysteries. Geography classes don't discuss maps showing impossible knowledge. The evidence is buried under the official narrative. Number 8 takes us to Egypt and the largest engineering mystery on Earth. Number 8. The Great Pyramid's mathematical precision. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built supposedly around 2560 BC by Pharaoh Khufu, using copper tools and wooden ramps. That's the official story. Now look at the evidence. The pyramid contains approximately 2.3 million stone blocks, average weight 2.5 tons. Some blocks weigh over 70 tons, placed with gaps of 1/50th of an inch. Construction supposedly completed in 20 years. Do the math. That's placing one block every 2.5 minutes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 2 decades, without machinery. The base covers 13 acres, perfectly level to within 1 inch. The orientation aligns to true north within 3/60ths of 1 degree, more accurate than modern buildings constructed with laser levels. But here's where it gets strange. The mathematical precision is too specific to be coincidental. The pyramid's height multiplied by 1 billion equals the distance from Earth to the Sun, 93 million miles. accurate to within 1%. How did ancient Egyptians know the Earth-Sun distance? The pyramid's base perimeter divided by twice its height equals pi, 3.1416. Accurate to multiple decimal places. Pi wasn't officially calculated this precisely until the 16th century. The pyramid's weight multiplied by 10 to the 15th power equals Earth's weight. The ratio of the pyramid's perimeter to its height equals the ratio of Earth's circumference to its radius. Scaled-down model of the Northern Hemisphere with extraordinary accuracy. These aren't vague approximations. These are precise mathematical constants encoded in physical stone. Either the builders knew advanced mathematics and astronomy, or the design came from beings who did. The internal construction shows engineering that baffles modern architects. The king's chamber contains granite blocks weighing 70 tons, transported from quarries 500 miles away, lifted 300 feet up, positioned with millimeter precision. Those granite blocks contain quartz crystals. The pyramid structure creates subtle electromagnetic effects. The shafts align with specific stars. The internal chambers have acoustic properties that amplify certain frequencies. Modern engineers admit they couldn't build the Great Pyramid today using the same methods. Ramps would need to be massive. Copper tools would wear out before cutting one block. Moving 70-ton stones up 300 feet without steel cables and cranes? Impossible. Christopher Dunn, a master craftsman and engineer, studied the pyramid for decades. His conclusion: it wasn't a tomb. The precision serves a different purpose. The granite in the king's chamber, the quartz crystals, the shaft alignments, the acoustic properties all suggest some kind of machine or power plant, not a burial chamber. Egyptologists dismiss his theories, call him a fringe researcher, but his engineering credentials are solid. His analysis of tool marks, precision measurements, and construction techniques is thorough. The establishment won't seriously consider alternative theories. The tomb explanation is official. Questioning it risks professional reputation. But the mathematical precision doesn't lie. Someone encoded advanced knowledge into that structure. Whether Egyptians with lost technology or an earlier civilization, the knowledge existed. The Sphinx, next to the pyramid, shows water erosion. Geologists confirm it. But the Giza Plateau hasn't had sufficient rainfall to cause that erosion in over 7,000 years. The Sphinx might be twice as old as the pyramids, or older. That timeline threatens everything. So it's ignored, dismissed, actively suppressed. Researchers who push too hard on these questions find excavation permits denied, funding pulled, publications rejected. The evidence sits there. Millions visit every year. But the mathematical precision remains unexplained. The engineering mystery unsolved. Number 9 takes us to the most controversial discovery of all. Number 9. The Koso artifact. February 13, 1961. 3 rock collectors are searching for geodes in the Koso Mountains near Olancha, California. Wallace Lane, Virginia Maxey, and Mike Mikesell. They find what appears to be a geode. Take it back to Mikesell's shop. When he cuts it open with a diamond saw, he finds something impossible inside. A perfectly cylindrical ceramic core, surrounded by a hexagonal copper collar, encased in fossilized rock estimated to be 500,000 years old. The object looks mechanical, industrial. The ceramic material resembles spark-plug porcelain. The copper shows precise manufacturing. The design suggests electrical components. Mikesell contacts experts. Scientists examine it. X-rays reveal more details. The internal structure shows a metal spring, precise threading, manufacturing techniques. But humans 500,000 years ago didn't exist. Homo sapiens emerged around 300,000 years ago. Modern humans appeared roughly 50,000 years ago. Civilization began maybe 10,000 years ago. Yet here's a manufactured object in rock 500,000 years old. Creationists seized on the discovery, claimed it proved Earth is younger than science says. Evolutionists attacked it as a hoax. The battle between these groups buried serious investigation. Skeptics proposed it was a recent spark plug that got covered in mineral deposits quickly. But geologists examined the rock. The incrustation wasn't recent. The fossilization process requires immense time. Others suggested it was a modern spark plug that fell into ancient sediment. But X-ray analysis showed the metal had corroded in ways consistent with extreme age. Modern spark plugs don't corrode like that. The artifact disappeared in the late 1960s. Last known to be with Virginia Maxey. Attempts to locate it have failed. She apparently took it with her when she moved. Its current whereabouts, unknown. No detailed scientific analysis was ever completed. No material samples tested thoroughly. The X-rays taken in the 60s are all that remain. Critics say this proves it was a hoax. If it was real, where is it? Why can't it be examined now? But the initial examinations were legitimate. Multiple witnesses saw it. Photographs exist. X-ray images are documented. The rock shop owner had no reason to fabricate. He wasn't seeking fame or money. Similar objects have been found. In 1984, miners in Russia discovered a metal screw embedded in rock 20 million years old. In 1992, Russian scientists reported finding another impossibly ancient manufactured object. These discoveries get brief mentions, then vanish from discussion. The pattern repeats. Object that contradicts timeline appears. Brief examination occurs. Object disappears. Evidence becomes unavailable for serious study. The Smithsonian has warehouses full of artifacts that don't fit accepted timelines. Storage facilities few researchers can access. Objects cataloged but never displayed. Studies initiated but never published. Freedom of Information Act requests sometimes reveal interesting details. References to problematic artifacts. Memos discussing storage protocols for items requiring restricted access. Discussions of objects that complicate established narratives. The Koso artifact represents a category of evidence actively suppressed. Not because it's fake, but because it's too real, too problematic, too threatening to established academic frameworks. If manufactured objects exist in rock 500,000 years old, either the dating methods are wrong, or something created industrial technology long before humans existed. Both possibilities overturn established science. Easier to make the evidence disappear. Number 10 brings us to the most suppressed technology of all. Number 10. The ancient atomic reactors of Oklo. May 1972. A French nuclear fuel processing plant receives uranium ore from Oklo, Gabon. Routine analysis shows something alarming. The uranium is depleted, already used, already undergone nuclear fission. That should be impossible. Natural uranium doesn't undergo fission spontaneously. It requires specific conditions: enrichment, moderation, control mechanisms, technology. Scientists investigate. What they find in Oklo rewrites understanding of nuclear processes. 16 sites show evidence of sustained nuclear fission, occurring naturally, running for hundreds of thousands of years, 2 billion years ago. The geological conditions were perfect. Natural uranium concentration, groundwater acting as moderator, clay containing boron acting as control rods. The reactor started and stopped in regular cycles as groundwater levels fluctuated. That's the official explanation. A natural phenomenon, incredibly rare, unique to this location's specific geology. Nothing to see here. But the evidence suggests something else. The uranium concentration required for sustained fission is too high to occur naturally in that quantity. The placement of neutron-absorbing materials, too convenient. The geometric arrangement too organized. French physicist Francis Perrin studied the sites extensively. He noted the reaction zones, showed design characteristics, specific spacing, intentional arrangement, controlled placement of materials. Here's what makes this disturbing. The sites show evidence of isotope ratios consistent with modern nuclear reactors. The decay products match what's found in spent fuel from human reactors. The energy output estimates suggest controlled power generation. Some researchers proposed these weren't natural reactors. They were constructed, built by some unknown civilization 2 billion years ago, or more recently than believed. Either possibility threatens accepted timelines. The International Atomic Energy Agency studied the sites. Their reports acknowledge the unusual characteristics, but maintain the natural reactor explanation. Alternative theories aren't officially discussed. But mining operations at Oklo uncovered additional anomalies: geometric patterns in rock layers, unusual metallic concentrations, structures that suggest artificial construction. These findings were classified, access to certain areas restricted. Workers who reported strange discoveries were told to focus on ore extraction, not archaeology, not research, just mining. Documents obtained through inquiries reveal the French government took extraordinary interest in the Oklo sites. Beyond normal scientific curiosity, security protocols were implemented, information restricted. Why? If these are just natural phenomena, why the secrecy? Why the restricted access? Why aren't they openly studied? The implications are staggering. If someone built nuclear reactors 2 billion years ago, the entire history of life on Earth requires revision. If they're more recent than believed, someone possessed nuclear technology before modern humans existed. Neither possibility fits established narratives, so the natural reactor explanation is maintained. Questions discouraged. Investigation limited. Similar uranium anomalies have been found elsewhere, always in areas with restricted access, always explained as geological oddities, always kept from extensive public research. The pattern of evidence suppression spans decades, continents, disciplines. Whenever discoveries threaten established timelines, they get buried, researchers silenced, access restricted. Oklo represents the ultimate example: physical evidence of nuclear technology existing impossibly far in the past, evidence anyone can verify through isotope analysis. Yet mainstream science dismisses the implications. The uranium was depleted. That's not theory. That's measurable fact. The question is how and when. The official answer satisfies those who need comfortable explanations, but the evidence tells a different story. For those willing to see it, 10 ancient technologies that shouldn't exist according to accepted scientific timelines. Electrical batteries 2,000 years before Volta. Mechanical computers 1,300 years before medieval clockmaking. Aerodynamic designs millennia before the Wright brothers. Nuclear reactors operating 2 billion years ago. The pattern is undeniable. Technologies that contradict established history keep surfacing, and whenever they do, something strange happens. Evidence gets locked away. Researchers lose funding. Access gets restricted. Official explanations emphasize natural phenomena or dismiss artifacts as modern forgeries. The Baghdad batteries generate measurable electrical current. That's physics. The Antikythera mechanism demonstrates sophisticated engineering. That's sitting in a museum. The Great Pyramid encodes mathematical constants with impossible precision. That's standing in Egypt for anyone to measure. These aren't theories. These are physical objects, measurable, testable, verifiable. Yet mainstream institutions maintain narratives that require ignoring this evidence or explaining it away with increasingly implausible theories. Primitive people somehow achieved machine precision with stone tools. Ancient civilizations coincidentally encoded advanced mathematics they supposedly didn't know. The question isn't whether these technologies existed. The evidence proves they did. The question is why their implications are systematically suppressed. Because acknowledging them means rewriting history books, revising timelines, admitting established narratives are incomplete, possibly wrong. Academic careers are built on those narratives. Institutions are founded on those timelines. Textbooks printed, degrees granted, reputations established. Admitting it's wrong means starting over, questioning everything. That's uncomfortable, expensive, threatening. Easier to maintain the fiction. Lock the evidence in warehouses. Restrict access. Dismiss questions. Destroy careers of researchers who push too hard. But evidence doesn't disappear because it's ignored. The Antikythera mechanism still sits in Athens. The Great Pyramid still stands in Giza. The Piri Reis map still shows Antarctica's coast beneath the ice. Physical reality doesn't change because it's inconvenient. Every one of these 10 technologies represents a crack in the official narrative, a piece of evidence that doesn't fit, a question without comfortable answers. Taken individually, each might be dismissed, explained away, forgotten, but together, they form a pattern, a consistent theme of sophisticated technology existing far earlier than should be possible. What does that mean? Several possibilities. Maybe human civilization is far older than believed. Maybe we're not the first advanced society on Earth. Maybe knowledge was inherited from something that came before. All of those possibilities threaten established frameworks, so they're not seriously considered. Not by institutions, not officially, but the evidence exists, available for anyone willing to look, willing to question, willing to think independently. That's what they count on people not doing. Staying comfortable, accepting official narratives, not questioning too deeply. But questions matter, evidence matters, truth matters. These 10 technologies prove ancient civilizations possessed knowledge we're told they didn't have. That's not speculation. That's documented. That's measurable. The implications can't be buried forever. Eventually, the weight of evidence becomes undeniable. Eventually, the cracks in official narratives become canyons. We might be reaching that point. More discoveries emerge every year. More anomalies that don't fit. More researchers asking difficult questions. The pattern can't be hidden once you see it. And once enough people see it, suppression becomes impossible. The truth emerges. Slowly. Against resistance. But inevitably, these 10 ancient technologies represent that truth. Concrete. Physical, undeniable. What you believe is your choice. But the evidence has been presented, the pattern revealed, the questions asked. Stay curious, stay skeptical, stay questioning. That's how truth emerges from comfortable lies.